Welcome back to Teams of Sports. Mike and Renee here with you. Renee, let's touch on a feel-good story.
Yes.
Right, we like feel-good stories. DeLonte West. Man, we've talked about DeLonte's struggles over the years. Man, we know at points he was living on the streets. He was battling addiction issues, and things really looked bad. People were very worried. In the NBA, outside the NBA, people were concerned about this guy. Now, remember back in September, though, Mark Cuban was able to step in, ended up picking up DeLonte at a gas station in Texas, getting him set up with a rehab facility in Florida. We saw him, we followed his journey while he was in the rehab facility. We saw him riding horses and kayaking and probably busted everyone's butt on the basketball court. And Renee, now the new part, the good news of this story is that DeLonte West now has actually gotten a job at the rehab facility and is not only helping himself now, but is also helping other people who are battling similar issues. And I don't know, this one just made me really feel good about the situation.
No, absolutely. And, the thing I think about is when you're trying to rebuild your life, you basically have to start all over. And so for him to start all over with a job and a purpose, the purpose is the part that's like really important because it's easy to fall back into bad habits if he just goes back to his regular life and just starts to be normal again. But for him to be working at a facility as his job, there's that built-in layer of protection. So yeah, I'm sure Mark Cuban is behind this. And I want to say that in the best way possible because it's not like he just dumped him over there at the rehab facility. He was like, all right, good luck, kid. I feel like he's really trying to help him take the steps to get his life back in order. So for me, I mean, definitely a feel-good story, and I hope he helps a lot of people because he's somebody that we watched go from being a millionaire on top of the world to now he's in a rehab facility, and he had hit rock bottom. So we all love a good comeback story, and I'm looking for his.
Welcome back to TMZ Sports. I'm Mike Babcock here with Renee Montgomery. And Renee, we have more NFL quarterback news from one guy in Patrick Mahomes who is just on the rise and getting into his prime to a guy who is hanging it up after 17 seasons in the NFL. Obviously, most of them with the then San Diego Chargers. Almost said the Padres, not a baseball player. The San Diego Chargers. Of course, we are talking about Philip Rivers. Philip announced today that at the age of 39, he is hanging up his spikes. He said, look, it's just time. A guy who fantastic numbers over the years, one of the best quarterbacks of his generation, but no more. Philip says, time to go.
What I think about is I feel like there's a shift happening in the NFL where, there's the Ben Roethlisberger. He was crying for a long time on the bench after they lost. A Drew Brees, where people didn't know if him and Tom Brady would ever match up again. And now a Philip Rivers. I feel like there's a shift happening in the NFL as far as like the quarterback shift. There's the Lamar Jacksons coming up, the Patrick Mahomes coming up. There's that new young core, Deshaun Watson, who he's looking for a home right now, I think. I think there's a lot going on in the NFL, but there's just a tide shifting. So it's interesting to see, and I'm curious kind of who else is going to be leaving and what else that'll do for the new quarterbacks.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Eli Manning left the year before last. He was another guy that was part of that class. Rivers, Roethlisberger, and Manning. You're right. That older generation, now they are saying goodbye. Somehow Tom Brady is still going pretty strong.
He's still standing.
It's only a matter of time, I think, before Tom Brady retires. Now, we actually we spoke with somebody, and it's funny you bring up Drew Brees, Renee, because we spoke with a guy who also played with Drew Brees. We're talking about Shawn Merriman. Remember, was a really good linebacker, one of the best linebackers of his generation. And he played with Philip Rivers, and we talked to him about Philip retiring and his legacy going forward. And this is what Shawn had to say.
I always tell people Philip is one of my greatest teammates. And I had a lot of great teammates, but he's one of my greatest teammates because he was so damn competitive. I never played with anybody who was as competitive as Philip was. And it showed on the field. And, all the smack talk and him talking back and forth to players, I think we finally figured out that it was just him being him. Philip Rivers is a Hall of Famer. And anybody look at the numbers can tell. You would have liked that for him to have a Super Bowl or two up in there to make it official. But anybody who don't think Philip Rivers is not a Hall of Famer is just bumped their heads.
You heard it right there. That when I heard Philip Rivers retired, this morning, Renee. That is what the first thing that came to my mind was, is this guy a Hall of Famer? Renee, he made 8 Pro Bowls. He threw for 63,000 yards, 421 touchdowns. So the numbers are there. No Super Bowls, not a lot of success in the playoffs. Those are going to be the knocks on Phil Rivers as
but you know, it's always tough. It's tough because, like, I ask this all the time, and it doesn't matter if it's basketball, football. Like, what are the requirements when it comes to Hall of Fame? Because there's some people where I'm like, for sure they're going to be a Hall of Famer, and then they're maybe not. And then there's some of the players that they make Hall of Fame. I'm like, I could see it, but I just always wonder that, because if you just look at numbers, like you just said, the numbers you just gave, I mean, why not? I would see that's Hall of Famer numbers, but then some people think, well, if you didn't win, then are you really a Hall of Famer? So we know there's Hall of Famers that haven't won, but I always just wonder, who gets to decide that stuff?
Welcome back to the show. I'm Evan, along with Michael J. Babcock.
What's up?
And 2-time WNBA champion, social justice warrior, and all-around great person, Renee Montgomery is here. Renee, how are you?
What's up? I'm so happy to have you, man.
I'm happy to be here. It's great to see you guys. I missed you guys so much. I had to fill my time watching television shows to keep my mind occupied. I'm in season 4 of Peaky Blinders. It's pretty great.
Good show.
Recommend it.
Good show.
It's some gangster stuff, man. But anyway, I'm glad to be back here. So thank you guys for holding it down while I was gone. I appreciate it. And I'm excited to be back. The whole band's back together. I like it. I want to start with some video featuring Renee's new business partner, MARSHAWN Lynch. Have you seen this? MARSHAWN Lynch, beast mode, is trying out hockey. We got a video of the former NFL superstar hitting the ice with pro hockey player Akeem Alou. Akeem Alou is a friend of the show. He is, a former pro hockey player, super well connected, and is good friends with MARSHAWN, and said, hey, man, you got to get your butt onto the ice for a workout. And, man, I got to be honest with you. I was super impressed with, number one, MARSHAWN's skating ability, because skating on ice is hard. And number two, like, he's just all-around athleticism. His hockey skills were pretty great. He was telling Akeem to call him Shawn Gretzky. Take a look.
Yo, Shawn, talk to him. What are we about to do?
What's his name? Wayne Gretzky. Y'all heard of that, folks? Well, I'm Shawn Gretzky. You know what I'm talking about?
Come on, Shawn. Come on, Shawn. Come on, Shawn.
It's a whole different animal, bro.
Yeah. There you go. There you go.
Cat Williams is gonna be sliding around on the ice with the gloves. Who we fighting?
Of course, MARSHAWN Lynch wants to pick a fight on the ice. That's probably his favorite part of hockey. But overall, I was very impressed with this. I mean, I'm no hockey expert, but I feel like for a guy who's just kind of trying this thing out, he did pretty damn good for his first time.
Yeah, definitely. First of all, I am impressed too. Like, I didn't expect him to be skating so smooth. So first of all, he kind of must know what he's doing a little bit, but I don't know. I'm starting to have a sneaky suspicion that MARSHAWN can do a little bit of anything. Like, he's one of those athletes that, like, whatever it is, he can almost do it every time.
Yeah, that's the first thought I had. I figured, I don't know if he's been on ice before. I thought he was going to be like Bambi, but he looked really good out there. I was very impressed by MARSHAWN.
The big question is, what the hell is he doing out there? Why? I don't know the answer yet. But I'll tell you this, Akeem is very involved in the community, and so is MARSHAWN Lynch, and I'm sure that they've bonded over that over the years. And MARSHAWN Lynch is never a guy who shies away from a challenge, so I'm sure that once they got talking and Akeem was like, hey, man, you got to come out on the ice and get this workout, I doubt MARSHAWN Lynch was like, no, man. Of course he did it. He went out there and he's like, I don't care. We've seen MARSHAWN Lynch do a ton of crazy stuff over the years. So to try something new, it's not like he's playing football anymore. He's made it.
And another thing is, I hope he's filming a reality show. Like, every time I see him doing stuff like that, I like cross my fingers in hopes that, are they starting the reality show yet? Because I would watch that. Like, he's funny. They'd have to bleep out a lot, as you know, but he's hilarious.
Yeah. How's he been with, launching your league? I know you guys are doing the Fan Control Football League. You guys are co-owners of the same team. What's it been like working with MARSHAWN in like a professional capacity?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hopping on a call with him and Miro. We're about to start planning out, like how we're going to go about
Sure.
being owners, I guess, like just that kind of conversation. So I actually just touched base with everyone earlier today. And yeah, it's interesting because a lot of people think that like what he does is an accident. Like this guy he's smart, like don't let whatever you see fool you. He's such a good businessman. He's so smart. So I'm excited to start that journey with him.
I'm Sean Gretzky, you know what I'm talking about?
Welcome back to the show. One of the biggest rising stars in the NBA right now is LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball is crushing it, man. A lot of people like to give the Ball family a really hard time because, LAVAR is so loud and he's always talking about his kids and saying outrageous things. But Renee, you've been following LaMelo this season, and he's the truth, isn't he?
Oh, he's legit. Like with the Hawks, we've already played the Hornets twice. And when he checks in the game, there's just a different feel. He has the it factor. And I know a lot of people don't want to see it just because they hate his dad so much. A lot of people don't want to see it because Lonzo Ball, they didn't think he met his potential or his pick at the, they just didn't feel like Lonzo Ball reached all of the hype. So LaMelo is kind of facing the criticism that's coming from his dad and his brother. He's legit. I'm sorry. Like he is legit. He has the it factor that when I watch him play, he can ball.
He was a 3rd overall pick in the draft. He's currently the 6th man out there in Charlotte. He's averaging 25 minutes a game, but he's playing pretty well. And there are a lot of people out there saying enough with him coming off the bench. This man deserves a starting role already. So guess what? We went straight to his dad, LeVar Ball, and said, "What do you think, man? Do you like the idea of the Hornets slow playing the rookie year of LaMelo, or do you think that he needs to get out there with the starting 5?" Guess what LeVar Ball said? Take a look.
Melo and all my boys are like this, man. You playing for somebody, you go ahead. You don't sulk and you don't do that. You just go ahead and go with that. My thing is, he ain't happy with that, but he ain't gonna show that. If I train you to be the best and always you've been starting all your life, here's what they don't get. My boys are not freaking role players. They superstars. Let them do what they do. But if your mentality ain't like that, guess what? It's hard to coach my boys and tap into the best because you don't have a killer mindset.
Yeah, shocker. LeVar wants his kid starting right now. He wants him out there starting. The question I have for you guys is this. There is a logic that, when you take a young kid like this, like LaMelo, you don't thrust him into the starting lineup because you want him to grow and develop and you don't want too much too fast. Do you think that they should continue that? Or do you think it's time to just say, screw it, pull the ripcord and let this guy start already?
Well, shoot, my first thought is like, this is discussion. And just so people know, LeVar Ball's saying it out loud, but there's a lot of people saying it. My host for the Hawks, he said, wow, it's crazy this kid is coming off the bench just because he's that talented. But some coaches do have theories, too, that they want firepower coming off the bench. Like, I remember when my coach in Connecticut came to me, I was an all-star one year. And then he came to me after that all-star season and said, hey, we don't have anything coming off the bench and the other starters would throw a fit. So can you come off the bench? And I'm like, what? I'm an all-star. What are you talking about? And then the very next season, I went from being an all-star to the very next season being 6th woman of the year. So I do know that coaches love having firepower come off the bench, and it might be the case for LaMelo, but he does have starting caliber.
Yeah, and he's playing 25 minutes a game, so it's not like they're throwing him in there for 6 minutes and he's really not getting into the flow of the game. So, man, I think it's fine that he's coming off the bench right now. He's still an incredibly young kid, but he is so talented. And if it's not this year, I think we all know that at some point LaMelo Ball is going to be a starter in this league and maybe even an all-star.